Yanmaya-vashavarti vishwamakhilam brahmadidevasura yatsattvadamrushaiva bhati sakalam rajjau yatha hirbhramaha yatpadaplavamekame vahi bhavam bodhe sthitirishavatam Vandeham tamashesha karana param Ramakhyamisham harim Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Om 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 Jaya Jaya Ram Om Jaya Jaya Ram Om सियावर रामचंद्र की जय सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय हरि ओम We had seen the portion where Lakshman ji is giving teaching to Nishadraj. He says, Nishadraj, you identified 3 causes for one effect. Let us come to one as the main cause. The first one he identified was Bhagavan. He said Bhagavan is responsible for whatever Bhagavan Rama is going through. Means Brahmaji is responsible. Second, he said our own karmas are responsible. And third, he said Kaikeyi is responsible. So Lakshmanji's first teaching was Kahunaku Sukha Dukha Karadata Nijakruta Karma Bhoga Saba Bhrata. Is the sound audible? I feel it's a little less today. Is it better now? Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Good. I think the heater is on. That's why. So out of 3 causes, he said, let us come to karma first. And the whole session, the last session, we spent on this one chaupai. Kahunako sukha dukha karadata, nijakruta karma, bhoga saba bhrata. The one who is able to digest this particular chaupai, they will have a mind which is free from ragadvesha. Because they know that although the situation, paristhiti is giving sukha or dukkha, by itself, it has not come on its own. It has come through my own karmas of the past. It is presenting as sukha or dukkha. Under paristhiti, we saw there are 4 parts: desha, kala, vastu, and vyakti. These 4 things, this person says, no matter how much we try to change, changing them by itself will not give a permanent solution. Some immediate cause is not considered as the main challenge. In Bhagavatam, we see Dhruva's mother. Her name was Suniti. When Dhruva is made to get down from his father's lap, the advice or the message she gives to Dhruva is that we all are here to experience our own karma phalas. No experience should make us bitter. It's a very subtle mindset that we have to appreciate. The teaching is not to say one should keep forbearing everything. The teaching is to say that first, if we have acceptance for the situation, we can respond in a better way. What should be your response? He says, go and pray to Lord Narayana, who can give you that position from which nobody can shake you. In that, you have full swatantra. But just by being bitter about Suruchi, what are we going to get? That is her message to Dhruva. It's an application of this karma siddhanta. It is not saying that one should not respond to a situation, but the question is, how do we respond? Without making anybody responsible, with a calm mind, composed mind, this person is doing whatever has to be done. That was this portion of coming to one cause out of three. What does Bhagwan do? We saw that equation, right? 2 plus 2 equals 4. Plus minus x on both sides, which is our own past karmas, which we don't remember, coming as results right now, which might be disproportionate to our immediate effort. But in addition to all of that, the one who adds touch of grace. That is Bhagwan's role. And what is the role of that immediate person, object from which we are receiving karma phala? So they are just the delivery guy. Money order will still come, even if that person gets transferred. Okay. So imagine that sadhaka, whose mind is free from immediate causes, whose mind is free from raga and dvesha. Because it is said, if we search our mind, if a person is not careful, either we will find ragaspada vastu there or dveshaspada vastu. Ragaspada means those objects towards which we have raga. Or dvesha means those objects towards which we have hatred. This is either one of these two will be there. That is the boundary that is drawn for our mind. Means constantly this sadhaka or person will be thinking about that ragaspada vastu, dveshaspada vastu. So this is the contribution of karma siddhanta. It has made his mind free from raga and dvesha. And the second result of that was, he will look forward to every satkarma. Once that equation becomes clear, that satkarma brings sukham. Satkarma brings punya, punya brings sukham. He will not look at karma as a chore. Any kind of opportunity to serve, any opportunity to do satkarma, he says, this is my blessing. I am grateful that I am getting this opportunity. That will be his bhavana. Now somebody who has lived a life like this, free from raga dvesha and constantly doing satkarma. At some point, even this desire to do satkarma, to get sukham also drops. Because this person says, doing satkarma is my first nature. He doesn't think that if I help this person, I will get punya, that is why I have to help this person. Any satkarma for that matter. We say taking care of elders, parents. That satkarma is not done out of this thought that we'll get punya. That satkarma is, it is my duty to do it. I will do it no matter what the result is. A person who has lived a life in this way, Bhagwan says, they get blessed with something very special. What is that? They start analyzing the world and think whether there is something beyond this world that I am seeing. Is there something more to my nature, my swarupa, that I have not sought into yet? What that person does, let us chant this again. This is Doha number 91 after that. Chaupai is after Doha number 91. Bhai din kar kula bita bakuthari कुमति कीन्ह सब विश्व दुखारी, भयउ विषादु निषाद ही भारी। राम सिय महि शयन निहारी, बोले लखन मधुर मृदु बानी। ज्ञान विराग भगति रस सानी, काहु न को सुख दुख कर दाता। निज कृत कर्म भोग सब भ्राता, जोग वियोग भोग भल मंदा। हित न हित मध्यम भ्रम फंदा, जन्म मरनु जह लगी जग जालू। संपत्ति विपत्ति करमु अरु कालू, धरनी धामु धनुपुर परिवारु। सरगुन रकु जह लगी व्यवहारु, देखिए सुनिय गुनिय मन माही। मोह मूल परमारथु नाही, सपने होई भिकारी नृपु। रंकुनाक पति होई, जागे लाभु न हानि कछु। तिमि प्रपंच जिय जोरी, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय। बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। To live this one chaupai, it can take few days, few years, few janmas, whenever that time is. Kahu na ko sukha dukha karadata, nija kruta karma bhoga sab bhrata. The one who does not consider any immediate cause, any immediate thing as the cause of his joy and sorrow. Just for that, it can take several years, several lives. But through this, if that person's mind has become very, very pure, how does that pure mind express? Having lived a good life, dharmic life, what is the insignia of a dharmic person? Goswamiji says that person will start doing parikshanam. Parikshanam means he will analyze things which he took for granted before. Things were there, but he never tried to question them, never tried to ask. Now the same things appear to him in a very different light. How do those things appear? You see next chaupai, after two chaupais, after that kahuna ko, next chaupai. Joga biyoga, bhoga bhala manda. Our life, in general, the experiences are yoga and biyoga. Means we come together and we separate. Means we go on our own path. Yoga and biyoga keeps happening. Childhood, we had so many friends. At different points, we had a different social circle. Yoga happened there. But then paristhiti became such, biyoga has to happen. Somebody moves on somewhere, they are on their own path. Their numbers might be still there, but still we have not contacted. That is the power of karma. If viyoga has to happen through karma, no matter how many things are still there, it cannot have that yoga again. So yoga and viyoga, that is one experience. Then bhoga happens. Bhoga means experience of different objects, different situations, circumstances. What is the nature of all this? Yoga, viyoga, bhoga. He says they are either bhala or manda. Bhala means the way that we want, or manda means not the way that we want. Some of them are very powerful, yoga. Some of them are mild. Different type of experiences are coming. Then hita anahita madhyama brahma phanda. He says the same yoga, viyoga, bhoga. Another category is given. Either it is hita. Hita again means the way that I desire. Or another is anahita, not the way that I desire. And third is madhyama, mix of both. Something good also happened, something that I did not want also happened. That is called as mixed result. Bhagavan Krishna also mentioned this in Bhagavad Gita. Ishtam, anishtam, mishram cha. Only three things can happen out of karma. He says all of that appears to him like Brahma Phanda. Phanda means something which is binding him now. He says yoga, viyoga, bhoga, all these things are good, but he feels those are also another bondage in a way that he's unable to explain how. Remember, this is a seeker right now. He has not yet done Vedanta Shravanam. He has not heard about Vedanta, inquired into Vedanta wholeheartedly. But he knows inside that there is some discontentment which is coming out of relying heavily upon this yoga, viyoga, and bhoga. Otherwise, it will never appear to him as Brahma Phanda. It will never appear as a bondage. He says, for how long is this cycle going to continue? That I want to go somewhere and be happy. I want to keep somebody close and be happy. Or I want to keep somebody away and be happy. He says that yoga, viyoga, and bhoga appears to be like a bondage. Then janamu maranu, jahan lagi jaga jalu. Birth and death, he has thought about it. He says, this is not my only birth. I have taken several births in the past. And several more are waiting if I don't get moksha right now. All of that appears to him like a net. Jaga jalu. Jalu means a net. Sampati bipati karama arukalu. Prosperity, difficult times. Vipati means difficult times. Karma means all those efforts he is putting for sampatti and efforts he is putting for avoiding vipatti. And reliance on time. Everything appears to him like another net. Net means he feels, knowingly or unknowingly, he's getting caught more and more in this world. If he could get his solution, then he would not think in this way. He's seeking a solution for permanent happiness, but he's unable to find that in these kind of things. Tried sufficiently in the world, got the best friends, got all best things that he could do. But he says, still, this has not removed my discontentment. Dharani dhamu dhanu pura parivaru. The prosperity that he had in terms of land. Dharani. Dhamu means home. Dhanu means wealth. Pura means entire other things which were around him. City. And all sambandhas, relations. Sarugu naruku jahan lagi byabaharu. Not only the best conditions over here, but even the conditions in Svarga. He comes to this conclusion that even if I reach there, I am not going to get what I am looking for. And this Svarga, we should always remember, we never even know what bhoga is there in Svarga. But in this world only, when he sees something outside, very attractive, very appealing, this thought doesn't come in his mind that if I get this, everything will be fine. Either it could be living condition outside, or some object, or some person. In his mind, he has this viveka now. No matter what happens, my atyantika dukkha nivrutti or paramananda prapti is not going to come from these things. This is the beauty of karma yoga. Point of karma yoga is not to get caught in karma. Right? Bhagavan says in Bhagavad Gita also, Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. Means if you have lived a dharmic life, the litmus test of that is one should start thinking in this way. How do I know if I have done my duty well? If I see limitations in the world, that is the prasada of the Lord for selfless work. So if you cross over this river of dharma, do karma yoga, live that chaupai, kahuna ko sukha dukha karadata, never put any kind of blame on a particular person, a particular situation for sukha and dukkha. Having lived life in this way, Bhagavan says that person will naturally start inquiring for something subtler. That is the sadhaka who does not see solution. Samadhanam he does not see in the world anymore. Also, he starts seeing the limitations of karma. Having done karma yoga, he starts seeing limitations of karma. What are the limitations? He says, no matter how much of karma I do, no matter which karma I do, it is not going to stop punarjanma for me. Ability to remove punarjanma is not there in karma. Even if somebody does punya-karma, sakama punya-karma, means sakama karma he did and wanted to go to some higher destination. That punya-karma will push this person to go into that higher destination. It could be Svarga. But if somebody gets Viragya, he says even that punya-karma done because of sakama bhavana becomes an obstacle. It is just like you are in the airport and somebody comes and says, there is a free ticket, to Hawaii. Please get into this flight. You say, no, I don't want to go. You say, no, you will have to go. It's a good place. I have not been there. I've heard it's a good place. It's a good place, but if you don't want to go, going to even that good place becomes a bondage. So going to Svarga is like that. Somebody who says, I have seen limitations even in Svarga Sukham. If I go there, my mental agitations are not going to go away. Very much possible that it's even more. Because wherever there is bhoga, agitations are more. So he says, even if I do lot of karmas, it doesn't give freedom from punarjanma. Another is, even if somebody does lot of satkarma, that satkarma by itself will not remove abhimana. If one is not careful, one can get abhimana even of satkarma. One can get abhimana even of satkarma. In Bhagavatam, there is a story. There is one Gandharva, his name is Vidyadhara. You all have heard that story, right? Vidyadhara. He is a Gandharva who is going, up in the sky, and he sees Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is giving Upadesha, and Parvati ji is sitting on the lap of Lord Shiva. And he looks at Lord Shiva and says, look at him, Esha Loka Guruhu. He is the one who is going to give Upadesha, and so on, he scolds. Lord Shiva doesn't get upset, Parvati ji gets upset. She says, this is your sadhaka abhimana. Because you are a sadhaka, you are looking down upon somebody else. He says that is the slippery slope of sadhana. One should be very, very careful. Actually speaking, Parvati ji there represents Trigunatmika Maya. The power of the Lord, which can never remain separate from the Lord. Three gunas will always remain ashrita in Chaitanya. three gunas or Maya cannot remain separate from Chaitanya. That is the symbolic meaning of that whole thing. But Vidyadhara's attention was just on three gunas. And then he made that remark about Lord Shiva, Esha Loka Guru. And then that Vidyadhara is again born as Vritrasura. When Indra Bhagwan asks, how come this Vritrasura is such a great devotee of the Lord? So then Naradji elaborates this story. But the main point was, satkarma, if it is not done carefully, that satkarma, instead of reducing abhimana, it can increase abhimana. Increase abhimana means more problems, more sorrow. So this is the slippery slope of karma. So the sadhaka seeks something which is beyond karma. Rather, he seeks something which is not result of karma. Because in karma phala, which comes through karma, he starts seeing limitations. It will not be technical analysis. He doesn't call things as karma phala and then says that karma phala is anitya. That is our Vedantic way of formally presenting whatever we go through. The main thing he notices is discontentment. In spite of doing everything, he says, my discontentment has not gone. And even the joy that I'm getting through karma, it is very short-lived. Any karma for that matter. If we say serving gives us joy, he says, okay, during that serving part, we got joy. What about later? If we say some kind of action gives us joy, singing, let us say. So that singing gives joy. What about after and before? So he notices that karma phala is having this boundary of time and is seeking something which is beyond. Now Goswamiji says, if you keep searching in this way, you will not find things on your own. Then what do you have to do? He says, Dekhiya suniya guniya manamahi. Dekhiya means one should see. Suniya means do shravanam. Guniya means do mananam. Manamahi, put your mind in that thing, do nididhyasanam. This is Upanishad mantra actually. Atma va are drashtavyaha, shrotavyaha, mantavyaha, nididhyasitavyaha. After having seen the limitations of the world, he is seeking that absolute truth. About that, he is seeking clear knowledge now. This is the question with which every student in Upanishad goes to the teacher. He says, teacher, I have lived a good life. I have done my duties well. And I have also heard that there is something called as Brahma. Now, can you please elaborate to me in detail what is the nature of that Brahma? Kenopanishad, this was the introduction, if you remember. The student who has lived a good life, he will get this question, Kene shitam patitam preshitam manaha. Kene shitam patati preshitam manaha. Propelled by what does this mind go towards sense organs? This question will come only for that adhikari who has lived this dharmic life. There are different questions we can get about life. One type of question is related to things in the world. What we call as curious person, Lot of question he has. Inquisitive mind. Why does this thing happen this way? And he's very, very precise in analyzing it. That is one type of question. Second type of question is, what is this world? What is this world? There is a difference, right, between both questions. One question is about something in the world. Second question is, what is this world to begin with? Is there something which is a substratum for this world? Or whatever I am seeing, that is only absolute? One who is seeking that answer, Goswamiji says, he will go to a teacher and do Shravana. Only Shravanam part is with teacher. Mananam is independent. In Mananam, we don't have support of teaching. Teaching means live teaching is not there. That is something the student does on his own. And Nididhyasana, of course, nobody can do it for us. We have to do it ourselves. Dekhiya suniya guniya manamahi. Then what is his final conclusion? Moha mula paramaratu nahi. That whatever paristhiti I am seeing of desha, kala, vastu, and vyakti. If you ask what is the ingredient from which this paristhiti has come about, you will get many answers. Different people have given different answers. People means darshanikas. Different schools of thoughts, they have given different answers. Somebody says, Pancha Mahabhuta. Pancha Mahabhuta is the origin or the substratum of this creation. 5 elements were there. They got mixed together in a particular combination. From that, this creation has emerged. Somebody says, karma is responsible for this variety in creation. Karma is at the moola of this creation. If you ask Lakshmanji, what is at the moola of creation? This is moha. Ignorance about nature of Atma, that is at the root of this creation. Not knowing Atma, not knowing ourselves as Atma, he says we have projected this world of names and forms. And see, moha mula, this is what we discussed in Vedanta Sara. This is called as mula vidya. Ignorance about nature of Atma is called as mula vidya. Ignorance about something which is projected in Atma, something of this world, is called as tula vidya. And for a jiva to get question about mula vidya, Bhagwan Shankaracharya says it is grace of the Lord. Sincere question about removing mula vidya, he says it is grace of the Lord. Durlabham trayam evaitate daivanugraha hetukam. These 3 things are indeed very rare. They will come to a person only with Bhagwan's grace. First one is human body, manushyattvam. Second is mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam means this, all these things are included. Mumukshu is not somebody who is doing a casual inquiry. He just picks up a book randomly, starts reading it, keeps it aside, reads another book. He says no. He is asking sincere questions and he can stay with that question. And one of the question is, what is this world? That which I am getting bothered by so much, what is its real nature? Mumukshutvam is durlabham and Mahapurusha samshraya. Means to be able to do dekhiya suniya guniya. To get systematic knowledge about these questions, he says that is really grace of Bhagavan. Now we have to reflect a little bit more on this. Moha mula paramartha nahi. This is Ramana Maharshiji's technique. If we can appreciate it, we can get the gist of this one chaupai. Moha mula paramartha nahi. Ramana Maharshiji, as though is inviting us to think. We see this world, right, of names and forms, so many different situations coming in our life. Right now there is one situation. Later on there will be some other situation. Situation means experience. Any experience that is happening, all of that is paristhiti. He says, think about, when is this world available to me? When is this world available to me? It is available to me only when this ahankara, this finite individual, is awake. I have never seen the world independent of ahankara. The moment something happens to this ahankara, the whole world changes for us. And Bhagwan has given us a demo, right? The moment we go to sleep, all our identities change in dream. We have a different identity there, but because we have so much of identification with human body, we still go into dream as a human only. Have you noticed that? Have you dreamt ever of dreamer being something else? Bird, cow, elephant. No, we still go into dream even as a human. Or we still go into dream also as a human being. That much tadatmya is there, but all other things change. And when this ahankara goes to sleep, means fully it disappears in deep sleep, there is no perception also of this world. Now you might say, what about other people? They are perceiving the world, right? Same thing is true for them also. They are also able to perceive the world only until this ahankara is, or only as long as this ahankara is awake. Ahankara, another word if you want to give, that is karta and bhokta. Karta and bhokta, doer and enjoyer. Only when there is doership, only when there is enjoyership or experiencership, there is perception of this world. Now Ramana Maharshi says, inquire whether this doership and enjoyership, that is your essential nature, or is it only because of some erroneous understanding? You'll say, how should I inquire now? What are we inquiring? Whether kartrutva or bhoktrutva, doership or an enjoyership, is that our essential nature, or it is something which is taken from outside? How will we inquire? He says, okay, first define what is essential nature. Then only you can fit that definition and see whether kartrutva and bhoktrutva is my essential nature or not. So essential nature is something which can never be given up, and it need not be taken up. Okay? Essential nature is something which cannot be given up, and it cannot and need not be taken up. That thing is called as essential nature. For example, essential nature of fire. Essential nature of fire is heat. Now that heat, no matter how hard you try, it cannot be taken or it cannot be given up by that fire. Even if you go to some other place, other loka, wherever you go, fire will be hot. And that fire heat is such, it need not be taken up also by that fire from outside. So essential nature is something which cannot be given up, and it need not be taken up. Take sugar, for example. What is essential nature of sugar? Sweetness. So sweetness cannot be given up by that sugar, and it need not be taken up by that sugar. All other sweetness which is there, he says it comes from sugar only. Right? You make that mithai out of khawa. Right? What is khawa called? Okay, something. Some other flour or whatever, that thing appears sweet, but it is not essential nature of that sweet dish. Essential nature is of sugar only. From there only it has come. You take water. Essential nature of water is to be cool. Even if it is 100 degree outside, water will not become 100 degree. Fahrenheit, not Celsius. At the same time, it need not take up that coolness from outside. Water doesn't give up its coolness. It need not take up its coolness from outside. So this definition is clear. This is the definition of essential nature. In Vedanta, it is called as Swarupa. And the Vedantic definition, what we just saw in English, it is called as aheyam anupadeyam. Aheyam means that which cannot be given up. Anupadeyam means that which need not be taken up. That is called as essential nature. After having defined it, now put this definition onto kartrutva and bhoktrutva. See whether doership is something which can never be given up. If it can never be given up, it will become our essential nature. Be very careful in analysis. He says, no, in deep sleep, I happily give up doership. Bhagwan's Leela it is, he says, without doing any sadhana, I will take it away. Whole day you are struggling with it. Doership means what, Insecurity. Stronger the doership, more insecure the person. And bhoktrutva, enjoyership, means some kind of recognition. Both of this we let go in deep sleep. This ahankara which is there, that lets go of doership predominantly. Somebody might argue, if they are Shuddha Vedanta, they say bhoktrutva is still there in deep sleep. You say that belongs to prajna, not to ahankara. Ahankara goes away in deep sleep. So what does this prove? That kartrutva and bhoktrutva is not our essential nature. It is not essential nature means what? Something which is coming and going. Kabir Das ji said that thing is Mithya. Kabira jo aave jaye so Mithya. What comes and goes, he says that thing is only an appearance. It is not paramartha. If this ahankara is an appearance, kartrutva, bhoktrutva is an appearance, the world which is seen by that karta and bhokta, he says that is also an appearance. There are different ways to look at it. This is one way to look at it. Before we say Jagat is Mithya, this person has conviction that kartrutva is Mithya, doership is Mithya, and enjoyership is Mithya. It has been there since a long time because we never questioned it. And without questioning, this kartrutva and bhoktrutva will not go away on its own. You see, since we were small child, actually as a child, kartrutva and bhoktrutva is unseen. Not that it has been destroyed through knowledge, but it has not manifested yet. And that is what gives a beauty to the child. You see, children, why do we love so much? That little one doesn't even do much. There is no kartrutva there. That's why even if they pull the beard, we don't mind it. No kartrutva. Imagine somebody else doing it out of ragadvesha. Whatever the child does, it is okay. And also no bhoktrutva. You see, sometimes they refer to themselves as third person. Have you noticed that in small children? Because that individuality is not formed that I am this person. Everybody says some name, they think that name is somebody else. But slowly, this kartrutva which is there since a long, long time, several janmas, that starts manifesting fully. So by the time this same child who was so innocent, so sweet, that person is 20, 30 years, same kartrutva comes, same bhoktrutva comes. That is why one indicator of Jivan Mukti is that person becomes like a child. Balavat. Balavat means what? If kartrutva and bhoktrutva is negated, then that person can let go of things very easily. Have you seen children, how quickly they get into a fight? At the same time, they can drop also very quickly. Two of them will be playing at one time, laughing, doing everything. Suddenly they'll start crying. What happened? Somebody else took something. But right next moment, they are back again. This is one Jivan Mukta's Lakshana, that kartrutva and bhoktrutva is negated. And it is surviving because of this abhyasa only. Abhyasa means we took ourselves as karta bhokta for granted, and that abhyasa continues. Whatever we keep repeating, that we start feeling is our nature. Without that, I cannot do. Some people have the habit when they start thinking, right? They will flip a pen. I don't know if you have seen. I have seen many people. They'll start flipping a pen. Means without flipping pen, they say, I cannot think. That is the power of abhyasa. Once you start doing it, you think that's my nature. I'd heard one story about one lawyer. He was wanting to argue against another senior lawyer. And that senior lawyer's style of arguing was, he would do like this, for his second button, he would keep twisting it while arguing. And this lawyer was not ready for the matter on that day. So he called this other lawyer's, subordinate. He said, can you do me a favor? Can you please remove his second button? Only that much I want. And he tried arguing, few things, but after a little bit, he argued and he said, I think I want a different date. I'm not able to argue. Even while speaking, it happens. Sometimes we have some habit which will become our nature. When we speak, I'd heard about another person. He would say in his every statement, did you understand or not? Did you understand or not? And this he would say to everybody, including his teacher, including his professor and other person. When he would give an answer, professor asked something, while answering he is telling the professor, did you understand or not? That is the thing about abhyasa. Whatever we do repeatedly, that becomes our nature. Now that abhyasa is this kartrutva and bhoktrutva, doership and enjoyership. He says that has become one with our nature. But if somebody can do this vichara, reflect about nature of aham, nature of world, systematically through Vedanta, he says they will come to this conclusion that it is moha mula, not paramartha. What is an example? He says, sapane hoye bhikare nrupa. Just like in dream, a king can become a beggar. Ranku nakapati hoye. And other ways also possible. A beggar can become a king. But jage labhuna hani kachu. Once that person has woken up, timi prapancha jiya hoye. There is no gain, there is no loss. There is no hani, there is no nasha for the one who has woken up. This is the story of Janak Maharaj. Janak Maharaj once gets a dream that, he's very, very hungry, going from one place to another place, seeking for some food. And then there is one person who gives him a little bit of food. While he was eating it, a dog comes and snatches away. And a lot of things happen. Finally, he's starving and he's almost about to faint. And at that moment, he wakes up. And he has this question, Sapane hoye bhikare nrupa, ranka nakapati hoye. He says, am I the king who was dreaming that I'm the beggar? Or I'm really that beggar who is dreaming that I'm this king? And what does Ashtavakraji say? He says, both are dream. You are that pure consciousness in which this waking world is appearing, dream world is appearing. That is the main teaching. He says, don't give too much of reality to this world. Whatever thing we know as Mithya, even to a little bit degree, if we don't get full conviction in it, at least this thought is there. Maybe some Mahatma is saying, somebody like Goswamiji is saying, Upanishads are saying, let us give a little bit of benefit of doubt to them. Even that understanding gives a lot of inner solace. That something which is Mithya, I don't have to get too concerned about. It is there right now. It is not going to be there later. Although Vedanta doesn't want us to go with bhavana, because Goswamiji is saying, because somebody is saying, therefore Jagat is Mithya. Not in that way. It should become our conviction. But even to appreciate this point, that this Jagrat Jagat is same as dream, that also becomes the first step. There is Shraddha. Actually speaking, our Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji said this in one of the first texts of Vedanta. Right in the beginning, he says this. And what happens is, we are new to Vedanta, right, at that point. And we go on reading verses, we split sandhis, we look at verse by verse, word by word, and we want to go to the next text, right? But he has said these things in Atma Bodha. Fourth shloka or fifth shloka, samsaraha swapna tulyohi, raga dveshadi sankulaha, swakale satyavat bhati, prabodhe sati asad bhavet. He says this paristhiti is such that when it is appearing, it looks like absolute reality. That this thing is the only reality, there is nothing beyond it. Swakale satyavat bhati. But when knowledge takes place, prabodhe sati asat bhavet. That same paristhiti is understood as Mithya. And his definition of samsara is raga dveshadi sankulaha. He says it is a collection of raga and dvesha. Moment we give reality to this world, moment we take this world as absolutely real, he says the natural result of that is raga will be there and dvesha will be there. Raga and dvesha. Now put it other way. If somebody has understood something as Mithya, what is the litmus test of that understanding? There should be no raga dvesha towards Mithya vastu. There should be no raga dvesha towards Mithya vastu. So now what is the implication of Jagat Mithyatva? What is the implication of Jagat Mithyatva? That Lakshman ji is going to say in the next set of chaupais. I will summarize it first and then we can go chaupai by chaupai. He says, if you have understood Jagat to be Mithya, three things should happen. Three results should be there. That is the litmus test of Jagat being Mithya. He says the first thing is, there should be no raga dvesha, or in other words, there should be no complaint about anything in this world. He says the result of Mithyatva is, there is no complaining. Because if something is not there, where is the question of complaining about that thing or having any raga dvesha about that thing? It is just like saying, I'm so mad about the person who cut me off in traffic in my dream. I want to go and give something back. Or even the person who gave me way. I'm so grateful to that person. I want to go back and do something. Is it just like we have in dream? How raga dvesha or complaining about dream world is not relevant? That relevance, that only that much he has relevance for waking world. Very tough, huh? Expectation is very tough. I'll show the chaupai also. I'm just recapping the main points. So he says, first thing is complaining will drop. Nobody is responsible for any kind of sukha and dukkha. He says either you give that blame to karma or you give that blame to moha. Don't give it to any person. First solution was through karma he has solved that thing. He said karma is responsible, person is only the messenger. But now he's saying, if not karma, once you have graduated from there, come to moha. The very fact that I think of myself as an experiencer, he says that is the reason of sorrow. First is this, he said there should be no ragadvesha towards mithya vastu, no complaining. Second, he says, knowing nature of something as mithya, he says only that is test of true Viragya. True Viragya is only when we know that thing to be mithya. So for example, if we have silver and shell, right? You know that example, right? On the seashore, there is a shell, but because of reflection, it looks like silver. Now, one sadhana could be that you say, whatever does not belong to me, I should not run after that thing. So even if this person is taking a walk on the seashore, he says that silver is there, but I should have vairagya towards that silver. I should stay away from that silver. I should not go and pick it up. But later, when he inquires into whether there is silver or not, he finds it is only shell. Then also he stays away from going and picking up that silver. But what is his understanding now? That there is no silver to begin with. Right? There is only shell, there is no silver. There is a difference, right, between both. The first one stayed away with silver is there, but I want to stay away from it because I'm a good sadhaka. I don't go after silver, which is somebody else's. He says, I will not do that. But then second level is to know that there is no silver. So Bhagavan says there are two stages of Vairagya. In sadhana, the Vairagya is to stay away from things because they will bind us. But he says result of knowledge is true Vairagya. Result of knowledge, although Vairagya we've kept under sadhana chatushtaya. Right? We said Viveka, Vairagya. But here Goswamiji is saying true Vairagya will come when we understand that thing to be mithya. Two things are done. What was the first one? Implications of Jagat Mithyatva. First one was no complaining. No complaining or no ragadvesha. Second is true Vairagya. If something is not there, why go after that thing? And third, he says, only with this kind of Jagat Mithyatva will we get true devotion for Satya Vastu. Vedanta is not only saying everything is Mithya. Vedanta says Jagat is Mithya, but Adhisthana is Satyam. Substratum is Satyam. Towards that we will have love only when we understand the superimposed thing to be Mithya. And that Satya Vastu, he says, is Bhagavan Rama. There are different stages in devotion also then. One stage of devotion is to have Vairagya from the world by keeping the world as Satyam. But another stage of devotion is to know that Jagat is Mithya and have that love for Satya Vastu. Okay. More we will see in the next session. You would wonder, is this Ramayana class or is it Vedanta Sara class? A lot of things are coming from there. Aganita Gunagana Bhushana Rama, Ashrita Vatsala Jaya Jaya Rama, Ayodhyavasi Sita Rama, Apad Bandhava Jaya Jaya Rama, Dasharatha Nandana Shri Rama, दशमुखमर्दन जय जय राम, कौसल्या सुखवर्धन राम, कामित फलदा जय जय राम, पाप विमोचन श्री राम, पट्टाभिराम जय जय राम, जानकी वल्लभ सीता राम, जय रघुराम जय सीता राम, वानर सेवित श्री राम, वारिधि बंधन जय जय राम, हनुमत पूजित सीता राम, श्री राम जय जय राम, रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीता राम, श्री राम जय जय राम, श्री राम जय राम, सियावर रामचंद्र की जय। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय।